Meeting of the Town of Victor Planning Board will start, as always, with the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have some brief announcements. Emergency exits, in case they're needed, are to the left and to the right, where it says emergency exit only. The restrooms are out the entrance door and to the left, immediately to the left. Be sure to sign the attendance sheet at the back of the meeting, even if you're a developer and are presenting an application. Oh, much better. Thank you. There are business cards at the back table next to the sign-in sheet to take with you with the email address and phone number for the planning department. Also on the back table is a copy of the resolutions that will be read tonight, along with the agenda. Please turn off your cell phones or put them on silent. If you have to take a call, please take it out in the hall. And the same goes for conversations. If you need to talk to somebody, please have that out in the hall as well. We have 2 meeting minutes, one from October 13th, 21, and one from October 26th, 21. Anybody have comment or anything to say about those? No? Okay, we'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Joe moves.
Second.
The other Joe moves, or was it Scott?
Second.
Bill and Beck seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
And the same for the 26th, October 26th, 21. Al moves.
I'll second that.
Al has been reappointed to the board. Should let everybody know that.
Right.
And who made the motion?
Al.
Al made the motion, and
I second it.
Scott seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any correspondence? Nope. Okay. Dave, anything from town board?
Yeah, sure. First and foremost, Happy New Year. It's good to see everybody. I'm up for the first quarter for 2022. And as Ernie said, Al, I'd like to publicly thank you for signing up for some more torture. I appreciate your expertise, your wisdom, and your guidance on the planning board, as all of you put in a tremendous amount of time with us. One of the things that we talked about at our organizational meeting as we started to get ready to roll into 2022 is, I think one of the things that the board is going to try to do, or I think one of the things that we were talking about a little bit, is probably, I don't want to say moving slower, but certainly being a little bit more prudent and looking at how things tie into the comprehensive plan, right? And you know, there was a little bit of discussion, obviously, on what's going on East Victor Road. I read your comments, read those correspondence, appreciate all those comments. And one of the things that we talked about the other night, and it's coming up, it's on your agenda with Southgate Hills tonight a little bit, is the town board does want sidewalk on the west side of that development as they get ready for that phase 2, because we're anticipating that that's going to obviously explode with some development as we see going up the rest of East Victor Road. And we're not sure when the next phase will be done. And we're going to ask for sidewalks on both sides of that getting down to the Auburn Trail. As we look at what's coming from Bluemont and what's coming down the road and and a lot of that, the map that we looked at the other night is a little bit dated because a lot of those houses are already done, obviously. It's almost built out on that one phase. But our thought is, let's get sidewalks on both sides of that road, going down to the Auburn Trail, making it as safe as possible. So I know that's one thing that you guys talked about the other night, but I just want to let you know that the town board is going to certainly push to have those sidewalks on both sides. Not that we're getting into the sidewalk business, because certainly we don't plow or maintain those in the wintertime, but certainly when the traffic picks up, the roads get better, certainly a lot more foot traffic in the summertime, we want to make sure that it's easily accessible on both sides of the road. So other than that, I just wanted to say it's good to see everybody here and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Kim, what's happening next time?
So your next meeting is going to be, can you hear me?
You can? Okay. The next meeting will be January 25th, starting with a public hearing for Bristol's Garden for additional greenhouses at their site at 7432 State Route 96. The applicant is requesting approval to construct 4 greenhouses, 24 by 144 foot long and 14 foot high, and 5 greenhouses at 24 foot by 120 by 14 foot high for growing flowers and vegetable plants. That's been carried over for several meetings. I think you saw it once back maybe in October or November. The second public hearing will be for Van Borel parking lot expansion at 6327 State Route 96. The applicant is requesting approval to demolish the existing house with an accessory structures to extend her parking lot. The third public hearing will be for the Schwartz Pole Barn, which was pulled from this agenda, and it will be on your next agenda. 7716 Lower Fishers Road. The applicant is requesting approval to construct a 36 by 24 foot pole barn with a 10 foot high ceiling, and also included is an 8 foot by 24 foot porch, and this is in the limited development district. The fourth public hearing will be for 212 Whistle Stop Road. It's a house demo. It's also located in the limited development district. The applicant is requesting approval to demolish the existing structure and leaving the foundation intact. They will eventually build a new house there. The fifth public hearing will be for the Guinan Pole Barn at 6485 County Road 41. The applicant is requesting approval to construct a 30 foot by 48 foot by 16 foot pole barn for personal storage. And the sixth public hearing will be for T-Mobile Transcend Wireless at 140 Cobblestone Court. The applicant is requesting approval of an existing wireless station, which includes replacement of panel antennas, removal and installation of coax cables and 1 battery cabinet, and site support cabinet to replace 3 antennas at the existing wireless communication facility. And that's it. And any carryovers from tonight?
Thank you, Kim. The legal notice for the public hearings appeared in the Daily Messenger along with under-review signs being posted on the subject parcels. Postcards were mailed to property owners within a minimum of 500 feet from the location for the initial public hearing date of each application. For applications carried over, please refer to the Planning and Building Office.
I think it's not working.
That might have been.
I don't think Lisa turned it on. Did you, Lisa?
Turn it on.
No. Nothing.
Nothing? Still nothing?
No. You're going to have to talk really loud.
Well, do the best I can. All right, our first agenda item is Southgate Hills Phase 2. That's 06 PS 2021, East Victor Road. Owner is BRW of Greece LLC. Tax map 28.04-1-48.000. It's zoned residential 2. It's 06 PS 2021, if I didn't say that already. Applicant is requesting approval to construct 15 lots on 10.14 acres under the clustering provisions, which will include all associated utilities and stormwater management. Approximately 3.99 acres will be placed in irrigation easement. This will be the second step in a 3-step process for a major subdivision. The sketch plan was acknowledged complete August 10, 2021. We have some staff comments. We don't have staff comments. And I will note on this, as all the agenda items, speakers are requested to limit comments to 3 minutes and will be asked to conclude comments at 5 minutes. The public hearing on this is closed. Okay, Link?
Good evening.
Oh.
Hi. I'll try to speak up, I guess, so everybody can hear me. Link Swedrock with BME. Jay Watkins is with me as well from BRW of Greece LLC. I think the last meeting, you closed the public hearing. I think we had addressed almost every comment at that point. We'd worked on the sewer issue with Labella and the pump station. I think we've addressed that. Scott had brought up the site distance at the last meeting, so Labella went out and looked at the site distance, and they provided a letter as well and reviewed the site distance and sort of agreed with our proposal of what we're doing on the plans to make sure the site distance meets requirements. And then I think the only other thing that sort of as a loose end was the town board, we're on the agenda the 24th for the right-of-way adjustment, and based on the conversations with the town board since the last meeting, it sounds like the original condition that staff had written for your approval resolution to consider was the sidewalk from our site all the way to the Lehigh Trail, which is going to be required based on the right-of-way adjustment. So we provided that plan showing that we'll provide that sidewalk from the site all the way down the west side of East Victor Road to the trail.
I think you said that was adjustment from, we have a sidewalk that's really here, it doesn't show it from section 1 over to the.
Right, so there's a new one, because that just hot off the press. So that was just a discussion with town staff and the town board about the right-of-way that we needed to build it from our driveway all the way to Lehigh Trail. So I think with that, I think those were the last sort of remaining comments. We're on, like I said, we're heading to the town board on the 24th, and then we also applied for a grading permit, which is the next item on your agenda. They want to get going because they're running out of inventory in the last phase, so they'd like to get a head start as early as they can to try to keep the construction schedule this summer. But we'll talk about that next.
Any question or comments from the board? No?
Happy to see the sidewalk going up the west side of the road.
Scott?
I think I saw correspondence from Labella saying that there were some trees to be removed in conjunction with the site distance. Is that correct?
Correct. And they're identified on the plan.
Okay.
No, I'm satisfied with everything.
Good.
Okay, that being the case, we do have a resolution with regard to the preliminary. We'll do the grading and clearing next. This is a draft, well, it's not a draft, this is the final. The resolution is for Southgate Hills Phase 2 preliminary, East Victor Road, today's date, January 11, 2022, application number 06 PS 2021. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact.
Seeker?
What?
Did we do seeker?
So back in October, I think,
Did we do
November.
seeker?
So it was either October or November, we did go through parts 2 and 3 of the environmental assessment form. I don't know if you recall that. And then
I remember, I didn't know if we made the determination.
there was not a determination of significance made, but I think we've got that built into this resolution.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know we went through it, but I didn't think
Right.
you made the determination at that time.
Got the sewer issue resolved, I guess, right?
Right, yeah,
It's in here.
okay.
I'm not going to read them all, I never
Just
do.
making sure, okay.
But there are 17 findings of fact. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board reviewed the unlisted action on November 9, December 14, 2021, and January 11, 2022, and identified no significant adverse environmental impacts. Now therefore, be it resolved that the project Southgate Hills 2 subdivision will not have a significant impact on the environment, and that a negative declaration be prepared. And be it further resolved that the preliminary subdivision application of Reedman Acquisitions LLC, major subdivision entitled Southgate Hills 2 subdivision drawn by BME Associates, dated September 21, 2021, last revised October 28, 2021, received by the Planning Board September 22, 2021, Planning Board application number 06 PS 2021 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions that must be met prior to the chairman signing the preliminary subdivision plans. The one, that no final signatures will be given on the plans until all legal and engineering fees have been paid as per fee reimbursement local law adopted November 25, 1996. 2, that Section 4, standard approval conditions for all subdivisions, major and minor, of the town design and construction standards be met. 3, that comments in a letter dated October 26, 2021 from Labella Associates be addressed, and the town engineer confirms that the preliminary subdivision plan set is suitable for final signature. 4, that comments from the town of Farmington Water and Sewer Department dated October 14, 2021 be addressed. 5, that comments from the town of Victor Code Enforcement Officer dated October 20, 2021 be addressed. 6, that comments from the town of Victor Stormwater Program Manager dated October 19, 2021 be addressed. 7, that a 5-foot wide sidewalk be depicted and constructed by the applicant from Southgate Hills 2 subdivision along the west side of East Victor Road to the Auburn Trail. 8, that the town board approve the East Victor right-of-way adjustment. Conditions that are ongoing, standard conditions that must be adhered to. Number 1, that the major subdivision comply with the town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including Section 4. And 2, that all conservation easement markers are shown in the final plans. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary forward a copy of this resolution to the applicant. We have a motion.
I moved.
Joe, Logan moves. Second.
Second.
Joe Limbeck seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Okay, the next one is for grading and clearing. Same project. Whereas the planning board has received an application dated December 17, 2021 from BME Associates seeking limited site plan approval relating to clearing and grading on the site. Whereas said application in sum seeks the approval to proceed with clearing, grading, stockpiling topsoil, construction of pond outlet structure and pond spillway, construction of select storm sewers at the project site, and whereas said application is an unlisted action, and this application is related to the Southgate Hills 2 preliminary subdivision application, which included a seeker review and determination of significance, and said seeker review and determination of significance also serves this application. And whereas such application is subject to Town Code Section 211-31H and Section 211-12, definitions for a, quote, grading sketch plan, close quote, and whereas the planning board has considered the application pursuant to the relevant sections of the Town Code, now therefore be it resolved pursuant to the Victor Town Code at Section 211-31H that the planning board finds that the proposed activity conforms to the requirements and considerations identified in the Town Code, and be it further resolved that after duly considering those elements required by the Victor Town Code and New York State Town Law, the application for clearing and grading site plan entitled Southgate Hills Phase 2 Clearing and Grading, drawn by BME Associates, dated September 21, 2021, drawing 3, as related to storm utility identified December 7, 2021 BME letter, 4 and 5, received by the planning board September 22, last revised January 1, 2022. Planning board application number 45 SP 2021 be approved with the following conditions.
Okay, before you go any further, you're doing a great job. I don't think we discussed this yet.
We didn't?
No, this is a separate site plan.
All right, let's discuss it then.
I was gonna let you keep going.
Yeah, why stop it? Things are looking good.
I just want to get some background on the extent of grading that you're looking to do, how you're storing topsoil, think about some of that, things like that. And if you could just give us an orientation for how far you plan to go before you can get, how far we're going to be able to let you go.
Ye-
Before you get approval on the subdivision stuff.
Right, and I think what we've been doing is we're working with the SWIP, the town SWIP officer, trying to figure out sort of the extent, because we're looking to start the full grading operations, clearing earthwork, stripping all the topsoil. Based on our conversations with the town and Labella, we're looking to phase sort of the cuts and fills. The sequence, we've been pretty specific on how we've called out the grading sequence. We're going to clear the entire area, strip and stockpile the topsoil as it's shown on the plan on the northeast corner there. And then we're going to, initially we'll be digging the pond. Mainly the fills are near East Victor Road, and the cut is the pond and the cul-de-sac area. So the initial cuts from the pond will be taken and we'll stabilize the cul-de-sac area after we strip the whole thing. Then we're gonna cut from the pond, fill towards East Victor Road so we can get into the site. And then once the pond's done, we're gonna stabilize the pond and then move to the cuts in the cul-de-sac and then finish the fills back towards East Victor Road. So it's sort of a two-phase cut and fill.
So the site's gonna be stripped, there's not gonna be any topsoil or temporary growth, or are you going to have to temporarily seed the area that's been stripped?
Per the SWIP and the conversations we've had, because of we're doing this in the winter operations, we need to stabilize. We have to stabilize, we're gonna strip the whole thing at once, but we gotta temporarily stabilize the area we're not working in. So we're gonna work in the pond area, stabilize the cul-de-sac area, build the pond, and then stabilize the pond area, and then we'll go into the cul-de-sac area, which will be stabilized, and then we'll end up disturbing that area again.
Yeah, Labella's taken a look at the plans and the sequence of what they would like to do. And generally, I think Mary, our stormwater program manager, Mary Stebline, who also reviews the grading, has been, working closely with the town stormwater management officer, Keith Maynard. And I think we're okay with what they're proposing. We just want to be sure that the letter of credit that they provide, the surety that they provide is adequate. We're going to have to do some inspection of where they're going to be filling, especially where the proposed road is going to be, where they're going to be filling there. So we'll take care of that for inspection.
Yeah, we've addressed the first round of comments from Keith about how the stabilization, and we provided the letter of credit to Labella for review, and we're just making sure we got everything covered there.
So in your ideal world, when you're trying to finish grading this, grade it out, ready the next phase?
Well, I think in the best world, they'd like to be done by April, so they're ready to start doing utilities and all that, and we're gonna try to, but we gotta keep the final process moving along with the planning board, so.
So with winter work,
Well, the cul-de-sac's almost all cut, so they're gonna have to fill and compact and test it, because there's quite a bit of fill coming in off of East Victor Road, so they'll have to meet the compaction requirements. But the pond, they can get it dug and stabilized, and we're also, putting in a temporary pipe, because there's quite a bit of drainage coming from the south, so part of the storm sewer, part of that is we're putting the storm sewer into bypass, so that water stays off of us too, so we can hopefully keep the material dry enough that we can meet compaction and all that.
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate that my understanding is the project, this particular component is a little more than just the clearing and the grading. As the town code allows for a site plan to be submitted for clearing and grading. This includes a little bit more the outlet structure, the spillway, and then a little bit of the stormwater management infrastructure as well. And I don't think that the town maybe would allow for this if there wasn't a subdivision application kind of on the heels of it, right? It's just kind of, it's allowing them to maybe accelerate getting into the ground, but they're not doing all utilities. They're just doing a little bit of the stormwater management. Yeah.
that's all I had.
Okay, Al, anything?
I'm all set, thanks, Ernie.
Pat?
I guess I just have a couple questions that relate to the drainage. You have off-site drainage that goes through there right now under existing conditions, right? And then you're proposing to pipe it and bypass
Yeah.
the ponding area that you have there. You
Yeah.
have rear yards and it looks like 2 yard inlets in the back that function under developed conditions. And does that tie into the bypass line, or is that going through some separate connection to the pond?
The two inlets that are on the south tie into the bypass,
Tie into the bypass?
and we're over detaining in our pond.
You're over detaining in the pond, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Wes, that the drainage was reviewed by Mary then and you folks, and
Yes.
you're okay with the drainage scheme?
Yeah.
Okay. The only comment I would make relative to the request is that in the wintertime, you know, you don't get any vegetation. So it's, if you have bad weather conditions like frozen ground and then a thaw and rain, you can have a pretty big mess on your hand potentially.
Yeah,
So I'm saying, I don't have an objection to what you're doing, but I think you have to be very careful with what you're doing. Because when that's all frozen, like today,
yeah.
it's like a big parking lot.
And I think that's why, you know, I know Keith, we'd already provided written, I know he's got comments and he's going to be keeping an eye on it, and we understand because we've already sort of worked through his initial comments, and he had the same comments that you know, which is why we're going to try to limit the disturbance, and they're going to have to straw mulch it in, because you're not getting anything to grow, right?
Not today.
Nope.
Okay. Where did I leave off on this?
You want to close the public?
I thought it was close. Oh,
Particularly.
okay.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing unless there's people from the public that need to speak.
Does anybody
Or
from
ask.
the public want to speak to this application for clearing and grading? Hearing nothing, motion's been made to close public hearing. Joe Rogan. Who seconds? You beat you. Joe Limbeck seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing is closed on that issue as well. So, we'll continue on then. The resolution. And I'll continue on after where I stopped, but I'll continue on without repeating what I had already said. Conditions that must be met prior to the chairman signing the preliminary subdivision plans. Number one, that no final signatures will be given on the plans until all legal and engineering fees have been paid as per fee reimbursement local law adopted November 25, 1996. Two, that Section 4 standard approval conditions for all subdivisions, major and minor, of the town design and construction standards be met. 3, that comments relating to grading and stormwater in a letter dated October 26, 2021 from Labella Associates be addressed, and that confirmation is provided by Labella indicating the clearing and grading site plan has satisfactorily resolved such comments related to the proposed improvements in the applicant's letter of intent dated December 7, 2021. 4, that comments from the Town of Victor Stormwater Program Manager dated January 5, 2022 be addressed. Conditions that are ongoing standard conditions that must be adhered to. Number 1, that the major subdivision comply with the Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including Section 4. Number 2, that the applicant coordinate with the town engineer to ensure sufficient drainage measures are maintained on the site. Number 3, a stabilized construction entrance shall be established and maintained. 4, that the activity related to clearing and grading be limited to the hours of 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and may occur Monday through Friday only, not Saturdays and Sundays. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary forward a copy of this resolution to the applicant. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Joe moves, Joe Logan moves. Second?
I'll second.
There we go.
Give it to Al.
Al seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. 5-0.
Thank you.
Hey, good to see you, Nick. Bristol Garden Growing Greenhouses has been removed until the January 25th meeting. Next is the Bell Atlantic DBA Verizon. Public hearing on this is still open.
Good evening. Robert Bergdorf with law firm Nixon Peabody here tonight on behalf of Verizon Wireless. I have other folks with me tonight whom I'll reintroduce to the extent their testimony is necessary. It's a continuation of a hearing for the 140-foot monopole next to the water tank on Route 444. As you may recall, at the December Planning Board meeting, we reviewed the project in depth, and there were 3 items that were identified by the Planning Board as still outstanding and which needed follow-up. Those 3 items are as follows. Number 1, the board wanted more information, or really to confirm that this tower would not be lit. At that time, we did not have our final FAA responses back. We have since obtained a determination of no hazard, which means it does not need to be lit. We have submitted that to the town, so the town has that. So the good news is, as we had expected, but you never know for sure, this does not need to be lit. So that takes care of the first issue. Second issue is the landscape plan. The planning board wanted to see some landscaping, at least to the portions of the base of the tower that faced the roads, to have landscaping. We submitted a landscaping plan to the town. The town, through its consultant, Bruce Zaretsky, suggested a few changes. 2 new varieties due to deer browsing, and I personally back up the woods. I know what the deers have done to my shrubs. It's pretty heinous. So I appreciate that input. We made those changes. We had no problem with those changes. Those will be reflected on the final site plan that would be submitted as part of the building permit process. So that takes care of the second one. The third one was a generator. The planning board wanted details on the generator, and we have confirmed this will not have a generator. There's currently a generator on site that will go away when this one is completed. There'll be some battery backup, but there will be no generator, so there will be no noise issues with that. So those are the 3 issues. I think they've all been resolved fully, the way the planning board was looking to have them resolved. And with that, unless the board has other questions, procedurally, we're seeking a negative deck pursuant to seeker to take care of that. And then we're seeking site plan and special permit approval from this board. And then we'll go to the ZBA next week to close out the
It's going
variance.
to be a condition of the approval.
Yeah, or you make it that a condition, that's right, which would legally be required anyway, since we need it.
Anything from the board? Joel, a little bit?
What's the life of running the tower off the backup batteries?
8 hours.
And do you have provisions then for bringing a mobile generator in with an outdoor, like a gooseneck hookup for it?
Yes, we can do that. We can ship new batteries in. It's pretty rare that that happens, but if there is an emergency, then yes, we could truck something in. Hopefully, would it be resolved within 8 hours? Most power outages don't last that long, and we do have the ability to bring in new batteries, but also have the ability, they all come with a port. So in an emergency, you have an ice storm, whatever, in that rare instance, then yes, you could, if one's available, get a generator on site. But somehow we would, in an emergency, do everything we could to keep that service going.
Lithium-ion batteries?
I'm sorry?
Lithium-ion batteries?
I don't know. Does any, I don't know. We could,
The reason I ask is there are some special firefighting requirements for them, and if you get a report of quantity, you got to notify the Ontario County Emergency Planning.
I'm sure whatever regulations the contractors and the folks who do that know and will comply with those. And of course, we could add that as a condition, but we, of course, comply with all applicable laws and would with that one as well. I just don't happen to know off the top of my head whether that's something.
Sometimes it's advisable to get the local fire department involved just to have that, some emergency planning in case something does come up.
I will pass that on to the construction manager. It would be his job to do that.
I'm good.
Okay. I'm going to go down this end. Al, anything?
All set.
Back here, Scott, anything?
I just wanted to be sure on the landscaping, the landscape consultant reviewed it, made some comments. You're going to revise your plans accordingly.
Yes, we are pleased to adopt both of those changes. It's gone back to our landscape architects. They've made the changes. They will be on a revised site plan, and that would be a condition to approval here that it fully comply with the January 6th letter from your consultant, and that would be submitted prior to being able to pull a building permit.
Thank you.
I'm all set.
And so am I.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Well, first, is there any comments from the public?
Okay.
Hearing none. Joe Logan makes a motion to close the public hearing. We have a second.
Second.
At seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is closed. All right, we have a resolution. What's this? Oh, that's the next one. Too many papers. This is a resolution for Bell Atlantic DBA Verizon, 1533 State Route 444, today's date 1/11/22. Applications number 42 SP 2021 and 11 SU 2021. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 13 of them. Whereas the Town of Victor Planning Board, as lead agency, has reviewed and considered Part 1 of the Environmental Assessment Form, application materials, public comments, and environmental record concerning the proposed action, as well as complete the applicable Parts 2 and 3 of the Environmental Assessment Form, and identified no significant adverse impacts. Now therefore it be resolved that no potential significant adverse environmental impacts were identified with the proposed action using the criteria for determining significance identified in 6 NYCRR Section 617.7C1 and in accordance with 6 NYCRR Section 617.7C2 and 3. The Town of Victor Planning Board hereby finds and concludes that the proposed action will not present a potential significant adverse environmental impact and hereby issues a negative declaration. And be it further resolved that the application of Bell Atlantic Mobile Systems LLC, DBA Verizon, copied by Nixon Peabody LLP, 1300 Clinton Square, Rochester, New York, 14604, site plan entitled Bell Atlantic, DBA Verizon, located at 1533 State Route 444, drawn by Costitch Engineering, dated October 5, 2021, received by the Planning Board Secretary November 2, 2021, last revised December 29, 2021. Planning Board Site Plan Application Number 42 SP 2021 and Special Use Application Number 11 SU 2021 be approved with the following conditions. Number 1, that the site plan comply with the Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including Section 4. 2, that the comments in a letter dated December 14, 2021 from LaBella Associates be addressed. 3, that the comments in a letter dated December 3, 2021 from Code Enforcement Officer be addressed. 4, that an approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance for setback requirements be granted. 5, that a removal bond be provided at the time of the issuance of the building permit. 6, that a building permit be obtained before construction begins. And be it further resolved that the Planning Board Secretary distribute the Planning Board's approval letter. Do we have a motion? Joe Lindback moves. Second?
I'll second.
Joe Logan seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Thank you. Would you have a copy of that tonight that I could take, or would it just be sent? Thank you.
We need this? All right. Next is Crown Castle, DBA Verizon Wireless, 914 Brownsville Road. The owner is Crown Castle. Tax map number 16.00-1-42.211/CRWN, 12 SU 2021, Zone Residential 2. Applicant is requesting approval to add 3 antennas at existing wireless communication facility. Hey. Come step right up.
Good evening.
Evening.
My name is Brian Tempio. I'm representing Crown and Verizon Wireless.
Go ahead.
We are just looking to add an antenna to an existing cell tower. 3 antennas.
Not going to add to the height?
It is not. It's a smaller antenna. Won't add to the height.
What is the total height?
I'm sorry?
What's the total height?
Of the, it's at 132 feet.
Going to stay that way?
Pardon?
Going to stay that way?
Yes. 132 feet is the center line of the antenna. And it's about a 2-foot tall antenna.
You want to add anything else before I go to the board?
No, we're just adding 3 antennas to an existing array to fortify and make better the existing service.
Al, you have anything?
No.
Joe? Scott?
No, I don't believe so.
Joe Lembeck?
Nothing.
And I have nothing either. It's pretty straightforward. Any comments from the public? Hearing none, I have a motion to close the public hearing.
Move.
Joe Lindberg moves, second by Joe Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is closed. And we do have a resolution for this. It's a resolution for Crown Castle, DBA Verizon Wireless, 914 Brownsville Road. Date today, January 11, 2022. Application number 12 SU 2021. Whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 7. Now therefore be it resolved that the application of Colin Robinson, Crown Castle, for a special use permit received by the planning board on December 8, 2021, planning board application number 12 SU 2021 be approved with the following conditions. Conditions to be addressed prior to the chairman's signature on the site plan. Number 1, that no final signatures will be given on the plans until all legal and engineering fees have been paid as per fee reimbursement local law adopted November 25, 1996. 2, that comments from the code enforcement officer dated December 15, 2021 be addressed. Ongoing conditions, number 1, that the site plan comply with the Town of Victor design and construction standards for land development, including section 4. 2, that a building permit be obtained before installation of antennas begins. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary distribute the planning board's approval letter. We have a motion to approve. Joe Logan moves. Al Galita seconds. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. You need this?
That'd be helpful.
What?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hey. You too. Next item was the Schwartz pole barn, but that's removed until the next meeting on January 25th. Next is the Delta Sonic Car Wash. This is 40 SP 2021 and 10 SU 2021. It's a zone commercial / light industrial at 7463 State Route 96. Owner is Dilip Patel. Tax map 6.00-1-64.100. Applicant is requesting approval to demolish the existing buildings, which many of you probably know as the motel. It used to be Exit 45 Motel,
Formerly, yeah.
formerly. I don't know what it's called now. And to construct a 13,914 square foot interior detail building located along New York State Route 96. A 10,257 square foot exterior building car wash with 3,185 square feet prep hut located behind the existing Taco Bell. A 13,164 indoor vacuum building and outdoor vacuum area located behind Wendy's, along with new lighting, landscaping, pavement, and drainage. Okay.
Good evening.
James, how are you?
Good, how are you? James Baglioli, attorney for Delta Sonic, and I'm Anderson today, 570 Delaware Avenue, Buffalo, New York. I'll try and speak up. The mask makes it muffled. I know the board's familiar with this property, but I always start the presentation with, this is the property. We're in contract to purchase it. We call it the former Royal Inn property and some vacant land. It's adjacent to the Wendy's, which is located right here. The property maintains frontage on Main Street and Main Street, Fishers Road, and 96. We have 2 access points, one on Main Street Fishers and one on 96. We're going to be using those access points as part of the project as I walk through this. It's currently improved with an existing detention basin, which services the hotel and Wendy's. We're going to seek to expand that to further utilize it for Delta Sonic. So I'll walk through the project. This is the project. Walking through the site, you see the detention basin with the access point. This is our 13,000 plus or minus square foot interior vacuum building, along with exterior vacuums located in this area. You see the car wash and prep hut with an enclosed area in between it to protect the workers as they drive through. And you see the interior detail building. If you're familiar with Delta Sonic, there'll be a quick detail. It's about 15 minutes. You enter a belt that drives you through the car wash, the interior detail. They clean the car, pops out the other side. There'll also be extended details. So if you dropped your car off in the morning, pick it up at the end of the day, you can have your entire car detailed, much like you're picking it up from the dealer. Those are the services. Walking through the access, you have our access off of 96 here. We provide cross connection over to the Wendy's out front. When you come in, you can make various movements. When you come up here, you can circle around the car wash, go through the car wash, and back out. At that point, you can either go to the interior detail or to the interior vacuums. The interior vacuums are free to all of our members that have monthly services. So you have a card, you drive right in, you can vacuum your car in a climate-controlled environment. We did get a number of comments. We're going to submit a written response and revise the plans to address those comments. All of the comments are addressable. I'm just going to walk through them quickly so the board knows where we are. We got the town historian comments where we're just to photograph the hotel and provide a map. We're going to take care of that. The fire marshal comments we can address. The landscape consultant comments we're in the process of addressing. Stormwater management we're addressing. Farmington Water and Sewer we're addressing. The code comments, we can address all the comments. I have one issue with one of the comments regarding parking. Under your code, this is defined as a motor service vehicle repair station. It's actually specifically defined. The code enforcement officer is using a different parking requirement for retail. The law is very specific. If there's a defined term, you can't use a different definition. I'll provide the case law on that. But it really is neither here nor there with this site. We provide 46 parking stalls. There's no parking-derived uses except for employees. There's no way you can buy anything. This is a scaled-down Delta Sonic. It has no gas, no convenience store, no restaurant. So the parking is not, there's no parking for customers. No one can stop anyone and do anything. So those spots, I think the 46 are all for employees, but I will provide the case law on the parking issue. Yep.
Can you tell me, blocking off the car,
Yep.
where does it get left?
It-
Where do you-
They're all, actually, they don't get left outside. You make an appointment, you just can't drop off a car. So if you have an extended service, you have to make an appointment in advance. We take the car from you, and there are bays inside the building, so the car gets brought in and parked in a bay. So you can't, yeah, you can't just leave your car and drive away. We have to have an appointment and drop it off. The quick details, you stay in the car, either you stay in the car or you go in the, there's a little waiting room that you can sit in. But there's no customer cars parked on site. You're welcome. The code enforcement officer is requiring us to provide a 30-foot buffer along the back. We can do that. We're going to modify the plan to accommodate that. Traffic, New York State DOT has approved the project as proposed. We did get comments from the town consultant and the county, both Cuff Harbor and CPL, and SRF is in the process of revising our traffic study to address those comments. So we'll have those for the next meeting. Conservation Board had no comments. I presented at that meeting. The Bella's comments we can address. The county comments we can address. They asked for one main item, which we provided for in the plan. They asked for the possibility for the hotel to eventually connect into our site for cross-access. We did allow for a 40-foot green area, that if we needed to, if the hotel ever wanted to connect, we could provide an access road onto that site. In addition, there was a comment about allowing Taco Bell to connect. We would agree to allow Taco Bell to connect if they ever had the desire to do so. Cross-access only benefits us, because the more people that can get to the car wash, it's a benefit for us. So both those comments we have addressed in the site. Taco Bell can connect anywhere, and the hotel, we provided a 45-foot green space here that easily can add a 24-foot driveway if we needed to. Going through the building comments, and this is more of an open issue.
Could you speak up just a little?
I can. I'm sorry. The mask always slows me down. We have 3 buildings on site. 2 of them are basically the same building. They are vacuum and detail buildings. They are designed as greenhouses. They're actually a concept out of Germany that we brought over to the United States. We work with a car wash company in Germany. Apparently Germany leads the world in car washes. The buildings are designed as greenhouses. These are pictures of ones we recently put up. They're a glass building with a stone base. They look like a greenhouse. They have a metal seam roof, and on top of this, they'll have solar panels all the way across the way. Delta Sonic is really down into the conservation area. We provide solar. We also provide water reclamation, and really reuse about 60% of our car wash water on site by filtering it and reusing it. This is the interior view of the greenhouses, and the idea of them is to have a very open, airy, climate-controlled area with a lot of natural light. That's hence the design. This is the car wash building located along the back. It is a building that's mostly brick. It has, in addition, a stone veneer base. It has tinted transom windows, the blue over here to allow natural light into the car wash. It utilizes fiber cement board just along the top. You can see it over here. And along the front, it has standing seam metal roof and awnings. You can see those here and here. Just walking you through. Let's see if I can get this to start. There we go. This is a 3D rendering. This is the detail building, just going around the building. The glass doesn't show up, obviously, but all those panels will be the glass, similar to the picture. So you can see how the site would look all together. We're going to move over to the vacuum building and the exterior vacuums. That'll be next. And those are the bays we talked about for the detail. You can see them on the side of the building. This is the exterior vacuums located in the rear of the site. And you can see behind it the interior vacuum building. We do have a significant amount of landscaping. We exceed the green space requirement for the code. And this is the car wash building. The red brick did not come out as red as it would on the building. It's mostly the software we use.
This is specific to the Victor site, right?
This is our site. This is our site modeled out. Exactly what it would look like. There's our triple prep hut, which allows 3 cars to be washed simultaneously before they feed into the wash. This is the enclosed area with the roof to protect our workers, and it enters the car wash in this area. You can see the side of the car wash as we go by it. But that's exactly how our site will look. That's our site rendered out based on the site plan. So, all right, it's our first meeting, so we didn't submit responses yet because I want to get the planning board's comments, and then we'll go work on making whatever changes we need to make. I'm good.
Any comments from the board?
When I first reviewed the packet, I got to the whole environmental assessment
Yep.
form, which on page 7, where you indicated that it will not indicate a substantial increase in traffic or generate substantial new demand. I thought it was a typo at first.
Okay.
And as I've gone through the packet and seen some of the other comments, you want to avoid opportunities for motorists to behave badly. And exiting behind Denny's on Main Street Fishers anytime between about 3:30 and 6:30 in the afternoon is going to be a suicide run. People are going to make that right turn, have to go over at least one lane to make a left-hand turn to get north on 96. And they're going to have to make some risky moves to do that. Anytime between 3:30 and 6:30 in the afternoon, the traffic is typically backed up 3 lanes deep at that stoplight past the exit from behind Denny's there. If you're talking about the exit onto Route 96, similar opportunities for motorists to make bad choices occur. Making a right turn to go towards the village is not too bad, but if they're going to make a left turn onto Route 96, it's, again, it's a very risky move for the motorists. So I'm actually pleased to see that there's more study being requested, and I think it's a major concern. In fact, it's the only concern. Everything else that I look at the project can be tweaked. I'm just not sure how we get around the traffic issues.
We, DOT, as far as the 96 driveway, has signed off on that and approved that driveway as being reused. We do get the comments, and we do have SRF. I know you're familiar with them. They're studying the other issues, and they will provide respect. I'm sorry, I said DOT has approved the Route 96 driveway as part of their sign-off. We did get the town and the county comments, and SRF is doing the additional study, and if there's additional mitigation that can be undertaken, they'll provide that to us, and we'll bring it to the board.
And I've got just a process question, Ernie. And I just took the secret course online, so I know just enough to be dangerous. But it seems that if something is major or a yes on the form, it requires a full EIS. And my question is that a fact? And if that's a fact, do the traffic studies meet that test then for the EIS?
That's actually not a fact. I'm an environmental attorney. I'm going to just speak my piece, and then you could rely on. Just because there's a checked yes doesn't mean that there is a requirement. I said just because there's a checked yes, there's no requirement that an EIS is done. You can do a study and show that the impact is not significant. Our study generally shows the impact's not significant. DOT, in this case, has already signed off on Route 96, and we're doing additional study work to show that there won't be a significant adverse impact.
The only reason New York State DOT signed off on it was because there was no impact on the New York State right-of-way. It was the county DPW that had the problem with traffic.
And I understand that, we were going to address that, but there's no mandatory requirement because there's an EIS be done. This study can suffice for that. And you can check with your attorney, and I can provide a case law on that.
James, you're correct. So when we're going through the part 2 of the EAF, right, and we're reviewing a component in there, like for example, traffic, is there an impact? Yes, there's an impact. So it also asks you to evaluate, is it a small impact or is it moderate to large? And if it's moderate to large, that still doesn't necessarily trigger an environmental impact statement. There's a balance there's some assessment in terms of, is it significant? And what types of project changes could be implemented to minimize or avoid that moderate to large impact? Because maybe they could change the project in such a way. And I think, we would certainly rely on Harris Beach, the town attorney, to help us with that. But so just because there is an impact in the long form EAF doesn't necessarily mean we get to the EIS.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Like I say, I learned just enough to have enough questions.
I'm glad you took the course. That's great. It's helpful, actually, so.
I agree with Joe. I think traffic is an issue here. I don't know how big it's going to be, and I don't know what box we're going to check when we get to part 2 of the project, but I think his question is well taken. And I observed the same traffic queue that you've described, and I think the project looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
The mock-up, the SketchUp is a nice tool to show us. But I agree, it could be very gridlocking, even more so under peak conditions there. So I'll be curious to see how SRF responds to that, and I think we may use our traffic consultant to also weigh in on that decision, as we've done before.
I will note that it's interesting that unlike retail, this doesn't have the same peak as the regular peak hours. We're actually more weather dependent. So you could have, and that's part of SRF's analysis, is our peak hours are not similar to retail and restaurant peaks, which is actually the key time at that intersection is 3 to 6, right? But we're mostly busy Saturday morning, Sunday morning, when a lot of the weekend times, not the peak retail times. So as SRF does that analysis, that's something they're also looking at, that our times don't really jive with when the roads are the worst. So we'll come back, and I could bring SRF to talk about that when we get that study done, so they could walk through it.
Sure. I have nothing more.
Okay, Joe?
I gotta admit, James, when I saw the elevations, it scared me a little.
Yep.
There was a lot of blue.
Yep.
I assume that the blue is just a depiction on what the glass looks like rather
Yes.
than, and your fly-through helped a lot.
Yeah, and this is the actual picture of a building that was built. So I didn't think that the colored renderings don't do it justice.
Not at all.
What it actually looks like. But if you want to see one built, I could take you for a tour. We built one in Webster and one in Henrietta.
Yeah.
So,
I was sort of flying through on Google Earth here, looking at some of
Yep.
those, so. So it did help a lot. My bigger challenge with this site has always been the access from Wendy's to 96 on the bottom side there, if you will, on your sketch. Because what you're showing is a realignment of that drive.
mhm.
Right now, there's a really nice landscaping on that corner, and there's a jog in the drive.
Mhm.
And now you're pulling it closer to 96 to get out of Wendy's, when you have car traffic, for instance, coming out of Delta Sonic as well, queuing up. So getting across that drive to get out onto 96 could be a challenge at times of the day. And honestly, I would much rather see you eliminate that access altogether. This is my personal thing, from Wendy's, because it doesn't serve any purpose to Delta Sonic on it. And you've got 2 exits from Wendy's already that get onto that, I'll call it internal drive, that then would allow the queue to, work without having that left turn conflict out of Wendy's on the drive that goes from Wendy's right to the exit.
And I can see that, and we'll work, that's a Wendy's remnant,
Yeah.
because we're buying the property from the owners of Wendy's. So I will work with Wendy's to see if I can, we don't need it. So that's certainly not it doesn't
Yeah,
benefit,
and-
it doesn't benefit us, and I agree with you, they have 2 access points, but I need to get them to move on.
Well, this is actually 3.
I mean, without this, they only have 2 access points, so
I mean,
that's,
they can, anybody coming out of Wendy's can choose left or right.
Yep.
You know, Main Street Fishers or 96.
so I,
And it's the same, I mean, so you could leave the landscaping, you could actually wipe out all that pavement.
yep,
And put some more landscaping along there to give some buffering between your building. And the trees there are really nice. You'd be cutting down some nice trees that have been growing there since Wendy's was built.
yep.
And I've been on the board long enough that when Wendy's came in the first place, I objected at the time with that little S-curve for the exit from Wendy's at that point. And I don't know why they wanted it where it is, but that's what they did. Now you've been tasked with, redeveloping the site or developing that part of the site, and it's a good opportunity in my mind to fix the circulation issue that I see internally to that site without any impact to Wendy's at all. So that would be my comments regarding internal circulation and traffic. Architecturally, that's a very intense blue you're using. I would rather not see that intensive blue, but especially a bright blue roof that would shine. I mean, just look up at the high school. You can see a bright blue roof from across town. So on 96, there was a comment that I saw from someone that said, let's look at the Delta Sonic on, I think it's Main Street, downtown Rochester. There's a lot more brick and a lot less. It's a more interesting building.
It's not actually this use, it's a different building. That building is just the car wash and the convenience store.
Right.
Not that we couldn't go to brick, but it's actually not interior detail and the interior vacuum.
I
buildings.
understood about the 2 big glass buildings he had, but the other one had,
The car wash is mostly brick in the back. So, and that's this building here. So,
my office is right a couple blocks from that one
Okay.
downtown, and I know, I've seen that weekly, so,
Yep.
at least before the pandemic.
That one's a lot older,
yes,
Yeah.
been there a long time.
that's been there a long time.
It's a nice-looking building, though, for where it is. So, I think that's all the comments I had. I agree with the questioning, looking how you're going to get out onto Main Street Fishers from that parking area, or from the drive, so I'd like to see how that study comes through. So, that's all I got.
No?
Yeah, echo the concerns about not necessarily the trip generation, but the movements in and out at peak times. I think that could be problematic, so I know we'll spend time talking about that. I think from an architectural perspective, it has a very modern look, which in Germany may look good, but for that corridor, I think it may be a little bit out of keeping with what we've tried to do with the Wendy's and with the Royal Car Wash. So again, to the extent that we can modify that look, and I do think the architectural consultant may have already also provided some feedback there, so it would be another area. The prep building for the car wash, again, it seems like a lot of infrastructure covered for the protection of the employees and the pre-cleaning. Again, I don't know if anything can be done to maybe minimize that footprint just so the building doesn't become so, I guess, large.
It's actually open throughout, so, and you can see it more in this picture here. This is the car wash, this is the prep hut, this is just as a roof over it with 3 columns, it's completely open, see-through. So it's just a roof structure to protect them. It's not that we did them,
Still just appears,
Yeah.
right, like a lot of building infrastructure to prep the car to go
Yep.
into the car wash. Just an observation. Let's see, landscaping, again, it was, the 3D rendering was nice, but again, to the extent that we could add some more significant landscaping to, again, provide, a little less industrial look to that whole site would be, I think, welcomed. And then the last comment is, have you given any consideration to the vacant property, which was formerly the Denny's? I mean, you're going to do a great job developing Delta Sonic and then have this unsightly deteriorating building kind of as your capstone entrance there. I just want to put that out there for consideration.
we've given lots of thought to that, but we can't get our hands on it. So if we could, it would be part of this development. So we would love to own the vacant Denny's, but we currently cannot. So, not through any fault of our own. So ideally, we would have owned that corner.
I think that's the extent of my comments.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave Wright called in. He's got a couple of questions for Victor Hiking Trails. He asks, would it be possible to have a trail easement along the west property line connecting the Omnitech Trail to Main Street Fishers?
Sure, I could probably work that out.
And he adds, currently, hikers walk along Omnitech Drive to Route 96 to Main Street Fishers.
So they're walking, just so I understand it. This is Omnitech Drive, right?
No,
Where is it?
it's to the left,
On the-
or in there.
So they're walking, where, down here to get,
It says they walk along Omnitech Drive to Route 96.
There's sidewalk there in front of Quickfill. I believe there's sidewalk, or maybe not. I can't remember where the sidewalk comes in.
Hmm.
So Omnitech is on the other side of the
yeah,
Quickfill.
okay.
So he's saying they're walking from the trail down Omnitech to Route 96, then across in front of Quickfill, crossed in front of Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Thanks, Les.
The sidewalk ends at Quickfill from Taco Bell. So there's a gap in sidewalk between Omnitech and the, beyond
Okay, so it's
Quickfill.
not in front of.
Yeah, Wes,
it's
you
not
can-
in front of
Omnitech.
Quickfill.
Yeah, it's to your right, Wes, there's the sidewalk to the right, there you go. That's where the sidewalk picks up. And was the comment, would there be a path or trail through another site, or just,
Well, we don't control any other sites. I'm happy to work with them on the land we own. If they have a map or they come close, we can figure out something on the land we own to make it work. I don't know where they want to go. If you want to put him in contact with me and what he thinks he wants. I know we worked it out in Victor Crossing too.
Give him James' contact information.
Yeah.
And let Dave.
I just don't know what they're looking for. We're happy to work it out.
An easement west where that new building is at Omnitech, there was an easement that was put in place.
oh, yeah,
Somewhere up here.
you're right.
I'm not quite sure where it all goes either. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll give you Dave Wright's
Yeah.
contact information.
We're happy to work it out with him on the property we own.
Yep.
I mean, there's actually no sidewalks on Omnitech, right? I mean, they're just walking on the street or on the dirt, on the grass.
Just a road.
So we need to find that trail.
Yeah, I don't know where the trail is or,
I don't think the trail exists. I think
Yeah.
it's just an easement to put the trail through. Susie, would you know off the top of your head?
Saying west property line, I know they have a trail that comes out to Omnitech. Probably think you connect that
Okay.
along your
because if you pull our plan up,
Right here.
backside.
that's south, right? Yeah.
No, north is to the right,
Yep.
so west. This would be the
Totally
west
west,
property
yep.
line.
All the other trail comes out to
Which there must be, yeah, I don't know if there,
south.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for like old railroad alignments and stuff. There's a couple of cleared areas, but yeah, that'd be a Dave Wright question.
That's fine, just put him in contact with me. We could work along that property line. We got room to
Okay.
give. Yeah, that'd be great. So I guess on the consensus, do you want me to go with brick buildings?
I think it's appropriate, and it is in a 96 corridor,
Yeah.
architectural corridor overlay, so.
You can switch me off.
Wes, you have anything else?
Well, you know what I want to talk about? Sanitary sewer.
Yeah, I know.
So there was we made a comment in our letter that the demand on pump station 28, which is pretty new, that was replaced as part of the 2018, 2019 sewer capital project. As it was presented, it appeared that the flows coming from this project would contribute to 25% of the capacity of that sanitary sewer pump station. So I think there was a request in our letter about maybe tempering those flows a bit with some technology and holding tanks and that sort of thing. Is that going to be doable?
Yeah, our engineers are working on that now.
Okay.
We can address all the comments in your letter.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Labella had more comments, but that's certainly, something that we're always looking at, sanitary sewer. And our architectural consultant made some comments, and it sounds like that the applicant's going to address those.
Is it that big of a flow into that one pump station, at least as originally envisioned? 25%?
That's what I understand, yeah.
Wow.
Is that the one on Phillips Road?
No, pump station 28 is right in front of Wendy's.
Right in front of Windows?
Big, huge one they put in with the tank and everything,
Really,
like Wes said a couple of years ago.
That's it. Want to keep these?
Does Royal tie into that one?
Yes,
Okay.
Did they have to attenuate their release too?
that's exactly, yep.
Yep.
And we can, I'm sure the town has a copy of the plans. They can show you what they did to help attenuate those flows.
That'd be great if I could see what they did
Putting
too.
2 car washes on one pump station.
Right.
And that's why I
Well,
asked.
it'll be interesting to see if it's doubles the load or is there some leveling across the two
Shuttle,
providers.
shuttle your water over there and they'll shuttle it back, right?
I'm just thinking, right, at some point, right, the volume will probably come down on one.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'd be interested to seeing, Wes, how they did that, because our engineers are working on that response.
Okay. I'd be happy to share those plans
Yeah,
with you.
whatever
If
that
you're all
plan
right,
is.
I can go ahead and,
Yeah.
okay. I'd be happy to. I got them ready on my, sure.
should you recycle the water?
We do 60%.
Yep.
Well, that helps mitigate it.
Sure. Does anybody from the public have any comment or questions on this proposed project? Ms. Sharp? Step up. No.
Just come on up to the thing.
Marika Sharp, Fisher's Road. Is this the same pumping station Jeff Morel's using with all his hotels or apartments and things?
I don't think so.
Goes through there, I think, doesn't it?
So
Starts
you
on
got-
Main Street and then comes this
So you
way.
got the 2 car washes and all the
I
apartments and
think the
everybody
Morel
using the one?
project goes to
But it-
the Phillips Road pump.
The traffic is my problem, because turning off of 96 heading west, the people get into the east lane, turning lane to turn into that Denny's area. They get into the other lane there, I mean, here you're coming down, all of a sudden someone's in that lane, and that's bad. And again, like you say, you can't get out on 96 and go towards the mall, because you got to cross all the traffic there and everything. I mean, it'd have to be one way in and only one way out there, But then my other point is, do we need another car wash? So that's all I have to say.
Yes, you can't have too many car washes.
I mean, didn't they remodel Farmington already and everything? And then you got the one in Victor and,
The car washes.
but, all right. Traffic is the big thing. I mean, we went through this before with everything, and it's going
Traffic
to
is
be hard.
always an issue on
And
Route
it's-
96.
Is that part of the comprehensive plan to put all that traffic there like that? And I mean, I've seen Delta Sonic, and maybe it is weekends, but other times, holidays, not, there are cars lined up in the streets down in, where is it? Panorama and all that. You see the cars backed up in the street and things waiting to get in, so. Okay.
It's not part of the comprehensive plan to put stuff there. The comprehensive plan says what you can do on the property, so.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever comes
it's-
in.
Okay, but you got to think about that
Yes.
traffic thing. I
That's
mean,
why
you're gonna
we-
put and you're going to put a light right down there too, so and things, but.
But that's why we have our consultants and why we review everything and, with the understanding that there's potential development down the road, so, yes.
And you planned on all that kind of traffic, huh?
Well, we have to work on dealing with it, sure.
All right.
Any other comments from anybody out there? Anything else from the board this evening? Okay, well, they'll be,
Wes?
Real quick, I
He's- yeah.
just wanted to respond to the question about the Burrell project and where that sanitary discharge goes to. It does go to PS 28, and what we do with each of the projects that comes in to the town, we incorporate the flows into our calculations. So all of this is taken into account. We look at not only pump station 28, but also the downstream pump stations as well. So we keep a close eye and we monitor that stuff. So we would certainly bring up any concerns to this board if there were any.
next, Wes.
I'll just address the stacking, because that was brought up just in the last comment. Our older sites don't have the stacking capacity that we have now. If you look at this site, here's my pointer. We can stack almost 100 cars back from the car wash, and we have 4 lanes of stacking. If you go to this, and our old sites, if you look even the one in Rochester, they're on 3 acres, 2 acres. They're not on the size of this. We learned our lesson that we can't fit on 3 acres of land anymore due to the stacking. So we have completely revamped what we're looking for as the size of property. So that is, you'll never see a stacking issue onto the roads on this site. Again, SRF will do their analysis. I'll bring them to the next meeting. We can walk through it and work on the architecture of the buildings.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item was Van Bortle parking lot expansion, which has been removed until the January 25th meeting. Last agenda item is a sketch application for Valentine Meadows, 7241 Valentine Road. Owner is Philip Freund. Tax map 1.02-1-21.000. 05 SK 2021, zoned residential 2. Tax map number 1.02-1-21.00. Did I read that already? Applicant is requesting approval to subdivide a 28.6 acre parcel into 8 individual lots ranging in size from 1.58 acres to 5.87 acres. The property is currently divided by Valentine Road with an existing house on the south side of Valentine Road and an existing barn structure on the north side of Valentine Road. This is the first step of a major subdivision, and only acknowledgement of a completed application will be considered at this meeting. And a staff comment is here, we're waiting for conservation comments, which we still are, I guess.
You got those?
Received those today.
Yeah.
We do have comments from Victor Conservation Board from their meeting of January 4th, 2022. I'll just read their final comment, which is applicants have done a nice job keeping woods intact and avoiding the stream. Board asks that each new buyer is aware of the restrictions of the easements. The board will plan a site walk. Comments today are based on what was provided to this point at sketch. More comments will be given after the site walk and as each new buyer comes to the Conservation Board. That is Conservation Board comment. Okay.
Good evening, I'm Brendan Marks with Marks Engineering, representing Comark Holdings, and the owner of the LLC is here also. So what we're proposing you is a subdivision of a 28.6 acre parcel. It's a cluster subdivision pursuant to the town code. We're proposing is 8 new lots, 3 of which will be new lots right on the Valentine Road. 1 is an existing house that's there, and then 4 of which will be set back off the road with the longer driveways and narrow strips of land to connect to the Valentine Road. We're proposing 50% conservation area, which is the lands that are at the rear of the property on the north and also to the east, southeast corner of the property. These areas proposed for conservation easements are steeper slopes, most of which are greater than 15%. They're heavily wooded, and they're an environmentally sensitive area, so we decided to put those into a conservation easement and deem them forever wild or never be developed.
There's also a stream that flows through the site. It flows through the site from the northwest corner, which is the High Point corner, and it cuts down through the northern parcel, and it bisects that northern parcel to the east and to the west. We're planning to preserve that stream. It's a Class C stream. We're preserving it with a 75-foot buffer on either side, which will limit the development there. Furthermore, we're protecting the stream with a conservation easement, so it can be it cannot be disturbed. Pursuant to that clustering of the subdivisions and having less frontage of some of the lots, we have longer driveways. They will be shared between lots 2 and 7, and also 5 and 6. There was a note from the code enforcement officer regarding HOA requirements and the amount of lots that can be placed on a private drive. We've made the driveway widths at 20 foot where the part where they're shared, so that you've got essentially 2 10-foot wide driveways side by side, so they'll be able to be shared, but they'll be separate if they needed to be. So that would be mostly exempt that from any HOA requirement. A previous edition of this plan showed that all 4 of these lots up here in the, was it 3, 4, 5, and 6, were all sharing one entrance. The code enforcement officer noted that the town only allows 3 houses on a single private drive. Therefore, we've made a revision to this to separate off 3 and 4 with this own independent access off of Valentine Road. There is no sewers at this site, but the soils are sandy gravel with a very favorable perk rate for conventional septic systems. There is water on Valentine Road. There's an existing barn on lot number 2, which is here. We're planning to preserve that barn and maintain it. The town zoning does not allow an accessory structure in front of a principal structure, so we have to go through the zoning board process to get an approval for a variance on that code. And I guess with that, I can open up to Dave if he wants to talk, or if you guys have any questions.
Do they have more to present?
I have no comments unless there's questions.
Okay. And we'll go to the board. Bill Lindbeck?
How much, or how many trees will be removed?
That's
Using a lot of the open spaces there?
yeah, we really are preserving the forested areas. There's minimal disturbance to the trees. So some disturbance will be up here for that driveway. That's mostly sumac, not very quality for forest land. There'll be a tiny, maybe 1 tree moved here, and that's just to get the driveway in. But other than that, there is lot 8. Yes, lot 8 will be removed. This is mostly brush land. They've been through and logged that recently, so it's just very scrubby and a lot of slash. So the goal of this project was to use the open land.
Great. And you indicated you're going to maintain the existing barn. What does that involve? What kind of condition is it in now?
Well, I say we're going to maintain it, is we are going to leave it in place with if a buyer decides to buy it and fix it up, then that's their prerogative. It is structurally stable. It has a new roof on it. It has no structural flaws that I could see of an old barn when we looked at it.
Thank you. I'm good.
Al?
I certainly understand our code limits 3 homes to a shared driveway. Honestly, I would prefer to see fewer drives accessing Valentine Road. There are like 2 of the proposed 4 on the north side.
Yeah, north is up here. So this over here, this down here is Valentine Woods. Sorry, this was an approved townhome subdivision, or townhome development that's approved and in the works. High Point Business Park is right here, and there's also more townhomes approved in the rear of the parcel, at the rear northern of this parcel.
So I certainly like taking advantage of the open space and the clustering, but like I said, my brother would be potentially consider a waiver on the,
Al, I think your comment kind of dovetails into what we've been doing with those scout projects, for lack of a better description. I mean, in those, under the clustering provision, I believe that you can exceed the 3, if my memory serves me right, and that's what's been done on some of these other projects, so you may want to take that into consideration. I think, you're using the land wisely in terms of reducing clearing. I think anything we can do to minimize driveway cuts, in addition to the horizontal curve that's there, that affects sight distance, you've also got a steep grade going through there as well. So it's not a safe section of Allentown Road by any stretch of the imagination. But generally, I think it's a decent project, and I think it seems to fit the land well. But I would, I would recommend, in conjunction with Al's comment, that you research what it would take to minimize the driveway cuts and maybe team up a few more houses on a common driveway, and I believe that you can do that as part of the clustering provision. And I think, as with other residential projects that have come in before us, similar to this, you would likewise need a waiver from the access management guidelines that we've discussed on a number of projects too. That's a code item where you may be familiar with it with the town of Gorham, because the planning board chairman is very adamant about that in the town of Gorham. And that same regulation is here in the town of Victor. I can say that in several cases, we have waived it. Several applications, we have waived it, but I would ask you to take a look at what Al's speaking about, and I would also ask with a driveway cut plan, wherever it's going to access, that we confirm the site distances with the town engineer.
Yep, okay. So I have no objection to combine these back into a consolidated entrance for 4 lots, given that there's no HOA concerns. And like you said, site access, that site distance, that is one of the best spots for site distance, so it probably is one of the safest entrances. I have no objection to it, as long as the board will provide a waiver, or if it is totally in agreement with the code, then that's even better.
We've done it before with clustered subdivisions. I believe under a conventional subdivision, yes, the 3 applies, but I think when you go for,
okay,
then the planning board has that
great
liberty, if you will, if I understand it correctly.
Did I go down this side of the, remember? Al?
oh, I've made my comments.
Joe, did you also?
I have not. I guess I have a different opinion than my colleagues here regarding driveways, but I dislike HOAs, especially the more you put in. If there's a safety issue, and that would bear out a reason to consolidate driveways to a particular point, that's, a good reason to do that, is to consolidate. I was looking from the ground perspective at Lot 4, which is the uppermost one on your image there, and that looks like it's got great sight distance.
Absolutely.
But then you move down to where those 2 driveways are, and it's bad from both directions. So I don't know exactly where it's located, because there's a, if I'm looking at Google Earth, I'm sitting right in front of a utility pole that's there now, and it starts to obstruct view to the east, and it's definitely obstructed to the west. I just don't know how far along it is. Fortunately, you're on the outside of the curve, so I think you get better sight distance that way. I would
agree, safety is the most important thing.
Yeah, so I guess I would like to see how this all shakes down for sight distance, but I prefer to minimize HOAs as much as possible in the town, because there's always somebody that doesn't like what anybody else wants to do in their association. So that's why we try to limit it to 3, is the biggest reason I can think of.
And I don't want to deal with the state attorney general.
So, take a look at it. Certainly, I would defer if it became a real safety issue to leave the way you have it shown here.
Okay.
Otherwise, you know, it looks like you're doing a nice job with the land that you've got to work with. You're not overpopulating it, or at least suggesting that, so I'm in favor of your proposal. So,
Thank you.
all I got, Ernie.
Okay.
Come up and speak.
Oh, this is not a public hearing.
This is just a sketch review?
Yeah.
But I just want to make a comment what you guys are talking about. That upper one is a suicide driveway. Because I'm the one that made it look like that.
Hang on, you might want to, you need
I'm
to,
the one that's mowed it all and kept it like that.
You want to come up here and?
yeah,
give your
identify
name-
yourself.
Name and address?
Name and address, all that, and then we'd be glad to hear what you got to say.
You own it? Francis Rose. No, I've mowed that for quite a few years. Take care of my cows. And when I pull into that, that's how I get into that lot where the top right-hand driveway is, because that's my sister's property, and I'm allowed to go in there to come into that lot off of her property. And when I go to turn in there, I've got cars passing me.
Which lot are you referring to, sir?
That upper right one, right there, that's a suicide.
Upper right?
Yes, upper right,
Here.
right there.
On the left side of the road.
So you're saying that trying to get in and out, people are
That's a
passing you?
suicide, yes. I've put people into the ditch over there against the trees with the tractor. And I told the cop, I said, look, I have no problem killing any of you guys, but that little kid in there is going to kill me. Because you got these people that just pull right around me, and I'm pulling into there. I'm legal. I have everything I need on my tractor and wagon. Okay, when I pull in there, they're going around me.
People do that.
So based on your knowledge of the land and that you farm the area, where would you say is the best area to connect?
Probably right in that middle.
Right, in this
That
area.
middle, right there. Because you're going to be able to see coming from the east, you're going to see coming from the west. And when I pull out by the barn, I can see to the east, or to the west, towards my place, to Eastview Mall, and then they can see me and I can see them coming around that bend when I pull out to come home.
Okay, appreciate the input.
And what's the unit supposed to be for that side of the road? Unit or unit per parcel?
You're talking about 3 acres per house?
No, that's what, you built the ones behind me for Wiley's, which is Somerset, and you went to 1 unit per house. And I was wondering what a unit is.
It depends on if it's a clustered subdivision and there's extra open space. The total
Because
lot-
what you've done to me is, you made me a 2-unit, and on the north side of downtown, you made me a 3-unit.
That's what
Now, have we
the,
changed that since you guys built since we built Somerset, or whatever it is behind me?
So the north side, on the north side of Allentown Road, for this particular project location, it's 0.33 units per acre. Or sometimes people understand that to be a 3-acre lot, but it's not really a lot size requirement. It's 0.33 units per acre.
Yeah.
density requirement.
Yep, it's a density requirement, and that is the least dense requirement in the town. And then on the south side of Gillis, or
Yeah, yeah.
Allentown Road, it's half a unit per acre.
So 2.
Or
2 acres.
2-acre lot. is
Yeah.
the way some people think of it. So, and that's something that the town board adopts,
Right.
not
Yeah, I know, it's not the planning, I know. I just didn't like the way they did that, because they did it by property line and not by the road. All right. Yeah, that's the only, that and that creek. That creek is a pure spring-fed creek. Yep. It dumps down into Fishers and the Rundequoit Creek. Okay, it comes off the hill up there by Pickering's. Comes right down through, doesn't dry up and it doesn't freeze. My concern is I don't want it polluted, because my cows drink out of it and I've been drinking out of it for 68 years. Okay? That's my biggest concern, is that creek.
think there's buffering shown, the distance.
Yeah, but also, he doesn't show it across the road though either. But there's a culvert right there that goes underneath the road.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that.
Because that, he's got a little triangle right there next to him and Rinaldi's. On the south side of Valentine. And it runs right along there. Yeah, right in there. That's just something to think about, is all I'm asking.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks for
All
the
right.
input, appreciate it.
Information.
What's going to happen to Frank's house?
There is going to be a public hearing, I think, next time, right? So when we actually have microphones working, it would be a great time to show up and ask those questions again.
I just want to point out a couple things, is all, if you care to hear. We do, the creek does follow through here, like was mentioned, and we do propose a buffer on that creek down here. And the existing house is planned to remain, and hopefully it gets revamped to a nice house at some point.
Okay. There's a comment from Dave Wright, Victor Hiking Trails, with regard to Valentine Meadows. Says Brian Emerson submitted comments concerning the town trail easements within the conservation easements. And we do have a memo from Brian dated December 21st, 2022, which is part of the record. I'm not going to read the whole thing, it's a whole page.
Yeah, so we reviewed this letter and his request for a possible trail easement. We looked at the trail, the planning for the trail, and they show a proposed trail along Valentine Road. Would be open for an easement along the right-of-way, if that's what's the interest of the town, or maybe even an easement along the backside of the property. We have no interest of crossing the property with a trail. There's a power lines, the Niagara Mohawk power lines that are also behind this property, and it appears as though most people park on High Point there and take those. There's a couple entrances and they walk down the power line as it is right now. So.
Okay.
So we'll continue to work with the Parks, right?
Okay. Very good. Pam, did you want to say something? Oh. I guess not. And that was our last item on the agenda. And it'll be on again. All right. Yeah, we've got a sketch plan resolution here. It's not an approval of anything, it's just saying that this sketch plan is complete. It's the resolution for Valentine Meadows, 7241 Valentine Road, dated today's date, 1/11/22, application number 05SK2022, whereas the planning board made the following findings of fact, and there are 9. Now therefore be it resolved that regarding the sketch plan application of Comark Holdings LLC, major subdivision entitled Valentine Meadows Subdivision, drawn by Marks Engineering, dated November 29, 2021, received by the planning board December 4, 2021, planning board application number 05SK2021, the planning board acknowledges receipt of a complete sketch plan application. And be it further resolved that the planning board secretary forward a copy of this resolution to the applicant.
So moved.
You can have this and you want it now.
I have it.
Need a motion?
Joe moved.
I moved.
I'll second.
Adjourn?
I'm to vote. We have.
Motion?
Yeah, I made the motion. Joe Limbeck second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Wow.
You come back next week for the same thing again?
So it's not next week.
I got another card that says I got to be here next week too.
Not next week, it's 2 weeks.
At the zoning board?
Zoning board.
Yeah.
You can come.
I will.
It'll be a different board though.
Yeah, Condon will be on that one, won't he?
No?
No, he's on the other one.
He's on the town board.
On the town board.
Yeah.
To bring cookies, though.
Yeah.
I know that.
Fourth Tuesdays of every
But I don't want to be down here.
In fact, you can come here if there's no meeting.
This will not
You don't want to listen to me down there.
Better than
This application.
get from anybody else.
If you don't listen to me, I'll bring you couch here.
Keep it coming. Let me tell you.
No, he's not close
Tell me
enough.
where to put this.
You can check our website or just call the office.
Second it.
Okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sure they are.